Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We got a great Monday show for you today, but first, we have to look at the recap screen. Interesting juxtaposition here. The right side, quite bad. The left side, quite good. Listen, a couple of these plays, just keep in mind, we go 4-7, but we got a plus 235 on there, a plus 450 on there. Not nervous to put in some plus money plays here on the Early Edge, but still, good stuff from AMAGs, but the rest of us, I hit my pick, of course, the Harry Hall pick, a SportsLine pick comes through, but we're going to do a better than this. But again, not afraid. There was, 3 or 4 plus money plays on there, a couple of them significant plus money that we said, hey, let's put a quarter a unit or a half a unit on some of these that were significant plus money. All right, we got significant people in the chat. Ryan is in here, Liddy, Brian Weisner, Aaron Taylor, Taylor to Winnings, Gus Dawson, KC3. You probably don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from the stars of the show. Let's bring them in. Right now, we're covering all the bases. I know it is baseball season, but we've got tennis to cover. We got soccer to cover. We're going to start talking football as we are, 74 days away from NFL season. Put your favorite 74 in the chat. But, Mike, I do have to start with you. We got to talk NBA Finals, or at least recap what we saw last night. It does feel like the rightful team won. Obviously, in the first quarter, we saw the Tyrese Halliburton injury. We don't know what would have happened. Your reaction to Game 7?
Yeah, I think the better team won, but still got to give Indiana a ton of credit. They found a way to be extremely competitive in that series, more competitive than I thought that they could be. Props to Oklahoma City. They're a very young team, but they got to the finish line. All the moves they've made over the last decade, everything's kind of paid off and come to fruition. We'll see what they can do with it going forward. I think the thing that we're all going to now talk about for the next few weeks is just all the ACL tears, right? And do we have to shorten the season and all of those things? I don't think you can shorten the season for several reasons. A lot of them, which, dollars, TV deals, things like that. They're just kind of in that position. So I'm open to hearing what anybody else thinks about how you solve that, whether it's through, equipment and training and rest. It's a problem, and it's really unfortunate to see.
Yeah, Achilles tears, ACL tears, you name it. Tom, your reaction to Game 7, and do you have any reaction to what Mike said at the end there? Because, remember back in the day, Tom, we didn't have 7-game series the whole way, right? We had, it was a 5-game to open the round, I believe, and then it got to 7. We're just seeing a lot more games. I guess not a lot more, but a lot more tread on the tires. Your reaction to all of this?
Yeah, well, in terms, Mike makes a good point about the money, right? That's why listen, the NFL is going to get that season to Martin Luther King Day, no matter what they have to do, right? And they're going to just keep going and going and going because they want it on that Sunday. So it's always nice when the leagues talk about player injuries. They don't care. They just don't. They care about money and the dollars. And so for that reason, I don't think we'll see anything ever shortened. In any sport, they just want to keep it going as long as they can and get more money in the bank. In terms of last night, I always think it's tough when the best team all season has a Game 7 at home. It's tough to beat that team in that environment, I think. And I know there was an injury early on. The Pacers played great, but I do think OKC would have prevailed either way. They weren't just the best team all year. They were dominant. They had, one of the league's top defenses that we've ever seen. So the rightful team won. And I agree with Mike. I actually didn't mind when they weren't all 7-game series, when they used to do it that way, but I don't think we'll ever go back to it.
Yeah, fair enough. Buckets, we have some soccer plays to kick off the show, pun intended, of course. But correct me if I'm wrong. You've had a busy morning. We don't only find you on CBS Sports Network and on, of course, the SportsLine YouTube channel, but we can now find you in other places too, correct?
You can, Sia. I made my debut on the Galazzo Network at 9 a.m. this morning on their morning footy show, their kind of flagship morning show, providing some best bets as well. I don't really get nervous doing shows anymore, but I changed my shirt 3 times in a half hour before. I don't know if it's because it's 98 degrees or I was just like, I couldn't stop shaking. But it went well. They invited me back tomorrow, so didn't go too poorly at least, but excited to be, doing more content.
Leave it to Buckets. By the way, here it is. Ben putting up the morning footy logo there. Leave it to Buckets to drop a boy band reference 5 minutes into the show. Of course, he says 98 degrees. Can I ask everybody, are the Jonas Brothers a boy band? I feel like they are, right? Jonas Brothers boy band? Okay, Jonas Brothers is boy band. Sorry, I've been that's the boy band thing. You know, I'm always on that, and that for some reason I was thinking Jonas Brothers when he said 98 degrees. All right, let's think some winning bets. Buckets, talk to me about the two bets you have today.
We're going back to the FIFA Club World Cup. Now that we are entering the final match day, we finally see the teams that really need to try, the teams that don't really care. We've seen a lot in the last couple of weeks about what teams actually want to be here. And a team that wants to be here, even though they didn't play like it in their second match day, is PSG, the Giants of Paris. The team that won the Champions League is taking on MLS side Seattle Sounders. On paper, PSG should win this game by 8 goals, but Seattle have been impressive, especially considering the difficult group they're in. So I think they're going to keep this closer than people might think. But I think we see a ton of goals in this game. I'm going with over 1.5 goals in the first half. It's currently priced at -110. PSG should clear this by themselves, especially because this is a must-win game for them if they want to advance to the next round. But Seattle's sneaky. They might contribute here, so I love this first look. For my second bet, I'm going to a different group, but a matchup between Inter Miami taking on SE Palmeiras, and I'm taking both teams to score. The classic at -110. Inter Miami are a team that at the beginning of this group, every pundit on the planet, myself included, said that they are not going to do anything in this group. Porto's going to win the group. Palmeiras is going to finish second. Miami might finish third. Well, Miami beat Porto, and everything's kind of gone to hell in a handbasket since then. But Miami has shown they are good enough to compete with these other South American and European giants. I think they're going to score here, but Palmeiras' counterattack and the young talent they have is devastating. So BTTS is way too critical at -110.
All right. We got a couple of plays in soccer. Love to see it. We got the BTTS -110, and we've got the Seattle Sounders versus PSG over 1.5 goals, first half -110. All right, Tom, we move to baseball, but before I get to your baseball pick, and by the way, I have a baseball pick. Take it or leave it, by the way. I've been a little cold this year in baseball. I got a baseball pick for later in the show that I like. But, Tom, can I ask you something? Because I did mention that we were 74 days away from NFL season, which, of course, means we're a shorter amount of time away from college football season. May I ask, have you, whether it's on SportsLine or whether you put it in article form or pick form or in the Discord, have you already contemplated and put out a couple of college football plays?
Yeah, I have. I'll give you my top win total right now if you want it.
Yeah.
And make sure to get on the Discord. That's, if you're a SportsLine subscriber, that's one of the top benefits, in my opinion, because there's a lot of information going back and forth on there. But we can't obviously put win totals in the system. So I like Marshall under 5.5 wins. They lose their head coach to Southern Miss. They lose 47 players off of last year's 10-win team. And when teams that, revamp their entire roster, it's kind of gone both ways. We've seen like Texas State have success with it, but others struggle. I just think if you look at Marshall's schedule with their road games in conference, with all the changes, everything, because you got a new coach coming in, changing the entire culture, I think it's asking a lot for them to get to 6 wins in a bowl game this year. So I'm going to go under 5.5 wins with the Thunder and Herd.
Oh, very interesting. All right. Well, I didn't even know you were going to give me a pick, but I absolutely love it. Again, don't forget what Tom said. Get in the SportsLine Discord. If you are a SportsLine member, you have free access to that. And I think everybody knows how to become a SportsLine member, but you just go to sportsline.com/join and you type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. You can also scan that QR code that Ben just put up here. If you're listening to the podcast, again, QR code every time I say this, but it's sportsline.com/join, promo code winners. All right, let's turn to baseball. And before you give out your pick, speaking of baseball, we have Amags in the chat. We're about to have home run model plays up, so maybe he'll respond to that. Maybe he'll respond to what Tom Casale's pick is about to be on the Atlanta Braves, Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Braves money line tonight. Probably me and everybody else on earth with the way the Mets are playing. The Mets are 2-8 in their last 10 games, and the problem has been the offense. They've scored 2 runs or fewer 5 of their last 7. The Braves have owned this series of late, 7-1 the last 8 meetings with the Mets. They just played last week. What I like tonight about the Braves is Spencer Schwellenbach is on the mound, and current Mets hitters are hitting just 180 against him with a pretty good sample size. And in his 4 starts the last 2 years, the Braves are 3-1 against the Mets, and Schwellenbach has allowed 1 run or fewer the last 3 games. And you look at the Mets with Paul Blackburn on the mound, he typically doesn't eat up a lot of innings. And the Mets are coming off that series with the Phillies where they gave up a lot of runs. They used up a lot of their bullpen coming up in that short rest on Monday. So I think the Braves have an advantage there. So give me Atlanta -130.
All right, we got Atlanta minus 130. Amag's giving out some what appears to be some prop picks in the chat. Curious what he thinks about Braves and the pick that I'm about to give out. Ladies and gentlemen, reminder, don't forget to get Yankees tickets and join us for an official early edge SportsLine meetup at Yankee Stadium on July 9th. Come hang out with Amags, Danny Brasco, Larry Hartstein, among others. Plus, the first 75 people to buy tickets get free early edge merch. You don't want to miss that. Again, there's a QR code for you. July 9th at Yankee Stadium. They play the Mariners. I guess we got to get to my pick. We got to get to tennis. We're in Wimbledon warm-up season, so you know Mike McClure is warming up with his tennis picks. We're going to cover all of that, plus your questions right after this message from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, Mike, we are back on SportsLine, Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I was going to go to you first, Mike, but I'm going to go to myself because I saw somebody in the chat saying Rob Johnson, K-ladder on Kohanowitz today. That's actually my pick. It's not the K-ladder. It's not the K-prop. I like the Angels first five here. I'm going Angels first five with Kohanowitz on the mound against a guy that has been absolutely terrible, particularly on the road in Walker Buehler. Now, Kohanowitz hasn't been that good this season either. You look at the basic metrics, you look at the advanced metrics. I mean, both of these guys are getting lit up in more ways than one, but I do think they're also on opposite trajectories, with Kohanowitz actually pitching pretty well lately. I mean, granted, he's been lit up, I guess, 3 games ago, but over the last couple of games, he's been pretty good against good lineups, including the New York Yankees. And Walker Buehler's just been absolutely atrocious this entire season. But again, particularly on the road, you also have the Red Sox on a West Coast trip, on the back end of a West Coast trip, traveling again yesterday. Granted, it wasn't across the country or anything, but I think this lineup, now that Devers is gone, I mean, they got up for that San Francisco Giants series to some degree, only won 1 of 3 there. I think we're going to see the West Coast trip kind of wear on them. And again, I like how Kohanowitz is pitching relative to Walker Buehler. So I'm going to take that. I do fear lefties against Kohanowitz, and there's a few lefty bats, maybe 4 lefty bats in today's lineup. That is a fear because those splits are not good for him. But again, I want to take advantage of Walker Buehler. I do not want to deal with the Red Sox bullpen. So give me the first 5 at minus 106 for the Angels. We move. I fear what Amags is going to say about my pick. He's probably going to be like, hey, yeah, that pick is trash. I like Walker Buehler today. We'll see. Mike McClure, talk to me about tennis. We've got a tournament as sort of a lead-in, if not an appetizer, to Wimbledon.
Yeah, definitely an appetizer to Wimbledon. It's grass court season. I'm back in Riley Opelka. I like him in straight sets here, winning these straight sets at plus 110. I think this price point should be minus 125. Now, his opponent is at his all-time high in terms of his career ranking, which is 298th. He has not had a ton of success at this level. He's had a decent amount of success in ITF, but not really translating to ATP. But the thing that we love about Riley Opelka is the big serve. He has the biggest serve that you've essentially ever seen. The guy is 6'11", can serve 140 miles per hour. You might see tiebreakers in this match, and it may feel like you have a massive sweat. He has a massive edge in a tiebreaker situation because of that big serve. But I like him in this particular spot. Just anytime you get him on hard or grass courts, the two very fast surfaces make it even more difficult to return that first serve. I get that his opponent is from the area. He will essentially feel comfortable playing at home. I still like Opelka here just on raw talent and sheer size. The guy's literally 6'11", which I always find is interesting when someone lists themselves as 6'11" and not 7 foot. That means you're either really 6'11" or you're like 6'8". I can confirm that he is 6'11". He is tied for the tallest tennis player to ever be ranked on the ATP Tour. I just like these conditions here for him to essentially not get broken on that serve. We're looking at tiebreakers at worst. Give me Opelka here, 2-0 plus 110.
All right. Let's see if I can get that pronounced. Opelka, 2-0 plus 110. I seem to recall the last 2-0 plus 110 was last week from you, Mike, with Medvedev. That one did come through. Joey B says, Sia bobblehead day at Yankee Stadium on July 9th. First 5 attendees get a free Sia bobblehead. I mean, I'd be for that. But I don't think Buckets, go ahead.
I wasn't going to go, but if there's actually a Sia bobblehead, I will buy my plane ticket tonight. Not a joke. If you get me a Sia bobblehead, I promise I'll be there.
We got to get marketing to get a bobbleheads for all of us. The entire like early edge SportsLine squad. That would be super, super fun. Buckets, from a soccer standpoint, did you see any questions in the chat?
There's a couple other big games today, but they're just very tricky games. And for me, they're probably low scoring. So I kind of stayed away from them. You know me, I like my overs and my both teams to scores and all of that fun stuff. If you're looking at the Porto versus Al Ahly match, wait for player lineups because we're not going to see starters on either side. Probably not the best 11. So just be careful as always.
Okay. Big Cheesy says Goldschmidt over 1.5 total bases at -105. We have A-Mags with a kind of an implied endorsement for my pick. If you're listening to the podcast, he says, no, Sia, I do think Bueller is going to bounce back at some point, but when I like the fade is what A-Mags said. So I guess he is endorsing my play to some degree. I'm not going to say that's an official play from him, but certainly an official play from me. Mike, talk to me about anything. Did you see anything in the chat, whether it's tennis or otherwise, for you to respond to?
No, I did put a football pick in, though. I'm sweating Oklahoma's under. I know it's going to be extremely sweaty because it's so low at 6.5 plus 134, but they have an absolutely brutal schedule this year.
I do want to point out from an NFL standpoint, Mike and Tom, I don't know if you all, and Mike, I know you've been on HQ quite a bit and maybe on the network talking some NFL. But I do want to remind people that on CBS Sports Network, where I'll be hosting today from 12 to 1, we're covering a lot of MLB, but we're also going to be covering a lot of NFL teams. Like, we're going to do profiles on each NFL team leading up to the season. And I cheated and I looked ahead at the rundown for the 12 o'clock show. We're going to profile the Commanders and the Miami Dolphins today with a couple of sharp people in the NFL circles. So really excited about that. Obviously, I spent 20 years living in the Miami area, 20 years in the DC area. So it's going to be fun to cover those two teams for me. But again, those profiles will probably be posted on the SportsLine YouTube channel as well. So you can look forward to that. Tom, anything in the chat that you needed to respond to?
I didn't see anything. I think Mike's pick is interesting at plus money because I know the Sooners are a hot team coming into the season. But I agree when you look at their schedule. Plus, I don't know if they have the guy head coach. Venables is an unbelievable defensive mind, but I don't know if he's the guy to get him to that next level head coaching wise. So 6.5 at plus money with their schedule makes sense to me too.
All right. We're going to be sneaking in some college and NFL picks throughout. You know, Prop Stars has been on this show a few times already, giving out NFL props that he likes. So I guess, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. We don't have to hold you any longer than we already have. Buckets, you got a smile on your face. What are we laughing at?
Just happy to be here, Sia. That's it.
I love it. All right. Let's get to the recap screen, and let's have a happy recap screen tomorrow. We start off with my pick. I'm taking the Angels first 5, -106. Then we go to the Seattle Sounders versus PSG, over 1.5 goals first half at -110. And Inter Miami versus Palmeiras, both teams to score -110. Of course, those are from Buckets. Tom Casale, Braves, money line, -130. And then we go to tennis, ATP Eastbourne, Riley Opelka, 2-0, +110. That's 2-0 +110 versus Lofhagen. Did we have a SportsLine pick? Did I skip over that? We might not have had a SportsLine pick today, but I'll tell you what, everybody, there are SportsLine picks, baseball related and otherwise, mostly baseball though, on a day like this. So check that out. I believe there's one on Kohanowitz as well. Speaking of that K ladder, I believe Larry Hartstein has a Kohanowitz prop in there. So check out SportsLine. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a good show. It's a bounce back Monday. We actually had a pretty good week last week overall, but it's still a bounce back Monday. We got Buckets, we got Tom Casale, we got Mike McClure. Thank you to those three. Thank you to Ben on the 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s. And thank you to everybody in the chat. Maybe we'll see you on CBS Sports Network at 12 o'clock. Maybe we'll see you on this channel at 7 o'clock when me and Mike do the DFS show for the Rocket Mortgage. Either way, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock on the Early Edge. Thanks for joining us. We rest our case.